that's pretty good, let's go. Now we all know that the Hayabusa is famous for its top speed and its straight line stability, but this one here, when I bought it, I was so underwhelmed. It didn't stop and the handling was pretty so-so. So 44 mods later, I think I've got a different animal. My name is Kevin and let's have a look. Magical Racing. This one here is Tiga, and I also have Moto Composites front guard and tail section on this one. Actually, I like the Moto Composites best of the lot actually, so far. These rotors are by Braking. They've done a lot of work, and out on the racetrack they even run at a blue colour with the heat, but no warping. Some of the Gen 2 stock rotors warp in normal road riding, but these have stood up to the drag racing, track days and the country rides. The brake calipers are GSXR 1000 K3 with MHP brake adapters for the Gen 1 and titanium bolts holding it all together. The braided steel lines are from HEL or HEL. I use the race setup, which means separate lines to each caliper, not the standard system where one line comes down and then piggybacks over to the other side. The Gen 1 front forks have been upgraded with Racetech internals. It has their gold valves, heavier grade springs and a custom shim pack. And probably the biggest difference for the front brakes is the fitting of the Brembo 19 RSC master cylinder. The front brakes on the Gen 1 are just awful, but this really makes it come together. The brakes just respond what you would expect, so they're well worth investing in. Yamaha R1 tube in there. I also have the R6 quicker action throttle tube for the drag bike, but I just use the R1 tube. Alloy bar ends, replacing the heavy steel units that come standard. Alloy blank off plates for the revision mirrors, and I also run the 360 camera there. The foot pegs are by MFW. They are 360 degree adjustable through there, but I only use them in the full up position for maximum ground clearance. They come with a very aggressive boot grip, which I've liked. There was two versions. One was a bit too smooth for my boots, but the more aggressive grip has worked out really well. The rear disc is from Arashi. It's not bad. It's got plenty of cutouts and it gives me no trouble at all. This is also the speed sensor for the dash that I use. This is the Galfa rear rotor that I use as well. Beautifully made, nice and light. The cutouts and all that is excellent. The exhaust system is a full system from Yoshimura. There was originally a carbon fibre dual outlet one, but I didn't like the sound of that, and it was actually heavier than this titanium one, so this is the one I used. It has also from Japan the Ladybird exhaust muffler hanger, and then the stainless steel. There's a full system in there. Behind the clutch cover I have Gen 2 springs and posts and Gen 2 gear shift indicator switch, which lives behind the clutch. Did have a Brox ultralight center hub there for the drags, but I took that back out and now run the standard back torque limiter from Suzuki, because we are now on the racetrack rather than the drag strip, and we need that back torque limiter to prevent the back wheel from chattering under brakes into the corners with a lot of revs. This is the Bridgestone S22 in the 55 profile. standard is 190 by 50, but I use the 190 by 55. It gives us slightly better ground clearance, and it has a slightly different profile than the standard one. I had to move the bike around, turn it around the other way, because there's not much room in the shed. And also, I'm not a motorcycle mechanic or motorcycle shop of any description, so I had to think about it. It's what I would be called an enthusiast, I guess, which is pretty crazy, but I do love my Hayabusas and the GSXRs, so obviously I'm a Suzuki fan. We also have quick release indicators. We have to run indicators of the specified width here in Australia. These units here that are brilliant. Just undo the plug, snap them in, everything nice and legal, and then when I go to the track, just remove them and push the plug in there like that. I use a Hot Bodies undertail. I had to change the supplied stock tail indicators because they don't comply with the Australian rules. So these are from England and they are LED stock and tail only, and then we go over to the indicators there. And in Australia we need the number plate mounted at the back of the bike as per the standard bike. We're not allowed to have them down on the swing arm. Plastic base is okay, but the foam comes out another inch or so. So I shaved it off, so peeling off the vinyl cover, shave the foam and then re-staple it back up. It's much better for me hanging off the bike. So I use the SSB lithium battery, 320 cold cranking amps, super lightweight, really good thing. The ECU's been flashed with the Woolwich. I bought the complete interface, there it is, the plug there for that, and it was set up by a person in the Hayabusa Club here in Australia. Brilliant. He also fitted in a switch so I could switch the ignition maps, and I run the Power Commander 5 for the fueling so that I can do it at the track, and the quick shifter. I also use the original aluminium subframe. The steel replacement from the recall is just ridiculously heavy. The problem with the aluminium one is that there's no diagonal bracing in the design, and that's where it breaks. I'll show you. So they snap right through there, and the reason why is because this section here is just a rectangle with another rectangle. There's no diagonal brace running from here up to there, and that's where it snaps off right through there. So if it had a diagonal brace, it would have double tubes at the top, and also it would be double shear on the bolt. So that's another job. Inside the fuel tank and outside the fuel tank, I have a high flow fuel pump cross drilled in the high pressure filter so that it bypasses, and I run and then an external filter, which you can just see in there, just in that shiny little thing in there. That's the high pressure filter being, so that I can replace it easily. You have two filters, the low pressure one, which everyone calls the tea bag, and then you have the high pressure filter, which is in that black plastic body of the pump, and that's the one that locks up, breaks down and causes all the problems, and that's the expensive one, so you can bypass it. I have a few different airbox setups. I'll just show you what I have. The stock airbox is like that, and the one that's in the bike at the moment is that this is removed by drilling it all out, and with a stock air filter. The standard system is too restrictive. The next one I have is everything is removed like that. Still a Gen 1 airbox, but it's actually running the Gen 2 air filter in there. Also on the other side of this box it has repositioned the velocity stacks, and I run Gen 2 velocity stacks. The third method is to change the Gen 1 airbox, remove it completely and fit a Gen 2 airbox. So you have to make up an adapter plate to mount the velocity stacks. I use this Super Sprox aluminium hub with the riveted on ring gear. Underneath we have the Supy's adjustable turn barrel type rear links, and on the rear shock it's been modified as well with the K-Tech gold valve and new oil and all those sort of things, but I've kept the stock spring. The spring rate is good for me with my weight. For the static sag it's no problem at all. It was the front that was too soft, but the back is good. Reverse shift set up on my bikes, so when I press down you change up the gears. I find it a better, more foolproof system for out on the track. I also have the clutch slave cylinder support there to prevent cracking of the cast aluminium, and I also run a quick shifter. I tried a shorty lever just for the heck of it. It's okay, it's adjustable, but inside here the push pin for the hydraulic master cylinder is shortened by 1.5mm, so it brings the contact point closer to the bar with that mod, so when you release the lever it starts to engage the clutch earlier than the stock one, which is out here, and you've only got that little bit out there. So that's in there. I run a one-piece alloy triple clamp top, lighter than the double setup with the rubber blocks and all that sort of thing. Then we have the Translogic Micro Dash. They've stopped making these now. Let's light it up there like that. So the dashes have come a long way since this one, but this does the job. What it gives me is a more compact design, shift lights, and I have more clearance. With the radial master cylinders, they hit the dash of the standard one on the right hand side, so when you on full left lock manoeuvring around, your master cylinder is hitting the dash, so that's no good. That's the way I've done it at the moment, but I've got another method for the other bike. A simple and cheap mod is just to go one down on the countershaft sprocket. Standard is 17, just drop it down one tooth to the 16 and it improves the acceleration. It's quite noticeable at the drags for the 60 foot. For the country riding, the standard 17 is the go though. Talking about some engine mods, because I haven't talked about engine mods, might have a quick look at some things that are coming up in the future. So what do we got? A full set of back cut gears, Gen 2 crank, and some Osner high compression pistons. All ring gaps been done. Oh, I forgot, one more thing is the R1 wheels. The axle conversion kit from the States has arrived, but I still have to get ceramic wheel bearings and lighter rotors than the stock ones. Try if I can get some lighter ones than these. I'll weigh them all up before I put them on the bike, and I'll also get them powder coated, but they will certainly upgrade, modernise the look of the Gen 1. Well, that should do it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked that, and we'll see you out on the track next time. Catches, bye.